Hi there, welcome back to another cranial nerve. I noticed that the cranial nerve that you have needs to be inspected again. So, why don't we go into a paper mache room where we have lots of paper mache and everything falls apart. So, if you could just lay on this table made of paper and then fall through the paper floor, then I will meet you in the basement. Hi there. This is the concrete basement. Now, what's that? You want to go back to the paper room? Okay. Well, we can we can go to a different room that looks similar to paper. Okay. So let's go there. Now, it's very flammable. Don't don't light anything on fire. Everything's made of paper. Now, I noticed your cranial nerve exam requires a paper that I use for the room. So if you give me some time, let me find where I put it. Oh, here it is. It's on, okay. All right, it says here that you have a three-dimensional cranial nerve. Okay. So now what I need you to do is you need to take the cranial nerve and you need to rotate it about 20 degrees to the right. And as soon as you do that, then all of a sudden we can find more things to write about. Let me write about this. Okay, that's a cranial nerve. And this one. Okay. So your cranial nerve doesn't seem to be printing any information on the paper walls. So let me try to push print again. Okay, no, it's not working. You're going to have to explain to me this cranial nerve. Okay, so you found the cranial nerve, okay? And where did it first begin? You were climbing a ladder, okay? You were climbing a ladder and then you dropped the ladder. Okay. Oh, I see. And then you fell into the paper floor. Okay. All right. I'm going to have to see how far your neck rotates. Let's see. Okay, so it doesn't rotate very far. Because usually you can just change, you know, the airway a little bit, and then the cranial nerve works better than it did before. All right, let me write that down. Okay, so cranial nerve in a different language is going to be found in this manual here, and it will say that all cranial nerves need to be handed over to other cranial nerve specialists. I am not a specialist, but I can help you with this cranial nerve problem. Now, I remember when I used to have cranial nerves, I could basically see spots like a sieve. You know, you're looking through a sieve, and when you look through a sieve, you can kind of distinguish all the shapes around you, and after that, you can use those shapes and create a whole collage of shapes. And with this collage of shapes, you can create neon lights and batteries for your anything really. And with these batteries, then you'll know the letters that are on the batteries, so you know which ones you're using in case you have a AA, AAA, or whatever else there is out there. And I remember that if you do get the correct battery in that it should be there, it'll work, right? So then you can click on with the remote or maybe a mouse, and you can use what you were using. And if you can't, well, then you're going to have to cut it out with the dotted line and try to find more batteries, maybe underneath the floorboards if you can, which are made of paper, of course. And once you have all of that, then we can begin to create. Well, we don't need to do that. So now how's your cranial nerve? Is it good? It should be good, because cranial nerves work very well after you print them out on the paper. So let's print them out on the paper. Print them, print. Okay, so now it's printing out on the paper. And now that it's printing out on the paper, I can see the cranial nerve that you have. You need to edit this part out, though. This one's highlighted. It says that approximately about here you have a leak, and then you also have an air pollution issue that's going on with the cranial nerve. So we're going to have to kind of purify that. The humidity within the, what is your humidity within your cranial nerve? 15%. Okay, 15%. So that's going to start creating mold. We don't want that. So we have this this spray that you can get at a hardware store. You could try that, and maybe that'll help. And if that doesn't help, then you could try something else that would help for the cranial nerve. And if the cranial nerve isn't better, then we can try to print out another schematic. Let me see. There's other things highlighted here about your cranial nerve. One of them says that, what is that? There's a bunch of empty areas there that don't say anything. Well, let's cancel that. Let's cancel that. Okay. There we go. So your cranial nerve should be good now. I've checked it. I've made sure that the humidity is a certain percentage and that you won't have mold anymore. So let me know if that helps, and we can schedule another appointment.